So I thought I'd show how I colour in using my little book. Now these are the Caran d'Ache crayons that have just been scribbled one way and another way, as many times as you can before it gets saturated with colour. And they need greaseproof between. They're the only ones that need that. And this is just sketch paper out of a book. It isn't expensive sketch paper, but it's not children's sketch paper either. And it seems to hold it on, and you'll have to, I do apologise, a rescued dog is eating from a plate because he won't eat from a dish, and he likes to throw his food around, so I do apologise. So what I try to do, now I do normally turn the book around. I do that with all artwork because it's easier, and it keeps you in the lines. So if I put that onto there, no, it didn't stay in the line, did I? That wasn't very good. But I've drawn round with my isograph rotary pen, 0.18, which is quite fine, and it doesn't smudge when you go over it with watercolour, which is quite nice. I think I'll have a red. So if I touch that red, it's just like touching the end of the crayon, quite vibrant, these. And you don't need very much, and this is still quite a damp brush. I work quite dry, but I think some Bibles are really, really thin, so you have to be careful and do a test page. Sometimes there's always a page, because that actually is quite wet, but this will take it. Whereas if you were on a very fine Bible page, you probably find that. Now, because I'm at the wrong angle and because the tripod is in the way, not being quite as neat as I can be. So what I did was I did a test page. I mean, that's dry now, so, and it didn't go through. You can see it, but it didn't go through. So on here I decided that I'd have to do a test page, and this is really, really thin paper, so you can see through it. So I would think this looks and feels like the thin Bible pages that people are drawing on. But what I wanted to show you was in the middle there's a faint watercolour, and on the outside there's the Gansai Tambi watercolours and the Inktense. So the vibrant colours, they don't bleed through, but they show through, whereas the paler colours, the Derwent watercolours, don't. So I didn't want to really go through this one, but there was a spare page and I thought I would try it. So this one you have to be careful and work damp. You don't want to work too wet. You dunk the paintbrush in water, and then nearly every drop of water comes off and your brush is just damp, because it needs to be just damp. If it's raining wet, two things will happen. You get too much colour from the pencils, and you will, if you get too much colour, you see that's picked up, just a damp brush has picked up the Inktense, and it's quite vibrant, but it's gone on quite dry. So it's not as dark as the really vivid darker colours. So I just thought I would show you that. But if you get a Bible with thicker pages, then you can quite easily watercolour them. I mean, I just put there as a protection, but you don't really need it there. And then I can go to the Inktense, and I can see that's a little bit too wet really. This paper will take it, but the other one wouldn't. So you have to be a little bit careful and concentrate. A good idea is to practice on photocopy paper. So photocopy a page that you've drawn out and then colour that in, because photocopy paper is quite thin. And as long as you keep fairly dry, again that's that little bit too wet. This page would be fine, but if you were on thinner paper, you've got to be really careful. But that's practice. That's practice. So I normally keep the sponge onto there. Eventually that will get so wet that you just have to touch it to dampen it. But and so that's the consistency you want. Just enough dampness to push that colour around. And if you do it like that, you actually end up with more of a watercolour, the lovely pale colours rather than the deep vivid colours. So it depends what you want to do, and it depends how you want. Because now you've touched the colour again, that's going to be vibrant again now. And I'm not at a very good angle. Curled round. A tripod, which is not good. I don't really want to do anymore because it's normally quite nice to get all the different shades from one colour. So I hope you found that helpful and interesting, and this helps me when I'm not very well. I don't really even at home want to get all my things out. I just get this out and I flick through and I use them all together. The only one I don't use together is the Graphitint, because they are so unique on their own that I don't think they would mix. But Old Caran d'Ache and the Hydrus, the Gyotaki Gansai, and the gold is wonderful for doing lettering. It's the only gold that really works. It's the Derwent watercolour pencils. They work very well, and the Inktense. And then we have the Peerless watercolours at the front. So as I say, I do tend to use that an awful lot rather than getting all the other paints out, even at home, because if I'm not very well and I'm just on the sofa, it means that I can still do watercolouring and I'm not going to drop anything. Sometimes I even use the top of a small jar, so I have like a tablespoonful of water, and that lasts me because I'm not making anything really wet and it doesn't go through. So I just thought I'd show you my little book. Oh, my little book, my big book. It has its nice case. So thank you for watching.